Today I am so pleased to have as my guest Abby Sher on my podcast, Authentically Deb, Season 2 for September 2022. Abby is an award-winning writer and performer. She's the author of Miss You, Love You, Hate You, Bye. All the Ways the World Can End, Breaking Free, Amen, 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 Memoir of a Girl Who Couldn't Stop Praying. You know, she does suffer from OCD as well. Kissing Snowflakes, and she's the co-author of Sanctuary. Abby has also written and or performed for the New York Times, The New Yorker, The Second City, Upright Citizens Brigade, Nickelodeon, HBO, and NPR. Her books have been featured in the New York Times, on Oprah's reading list, and one of her essays was included in the first season of Amazon TV's Modern Love, which is one of my favorites. She is also a co-producer of the Chuckle Patch Comedy Show, and she's in charge of all audio scripts at Rebel Girls. She's currently working on the second book in the Sanctuary series with Paola Mendoza, her writing partner for that, and Abby fuels herself on popcorn. I like it. Well, your bio precedes you, Abby, and just welcome. Lovely to have you, Abby. Is it Abby Sher? Is that the way I pronounce it?
I pronounce it Sher, but you can
Sure.
pronounce
I
it
like that
however you
better.
want.
I like that better. I think my first interest in you was that you, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've been wrong before, like myself, are a sufferer of OCD, or you have OCD. Is that correct?
For sure.
For
Yep.
sure. And then I found out you're just this major artist, and I thought, wow, because my first season of my podcast, Authentically Deb's, which is this, was my memoir, and
Mhm.
the first 17 episodes. And the second season, which we're in now, is interview format. So I
Mhm.
basically interviewed, as I may have told you when I talked to you initially, I majorly interview OCD sufferers, authors, a lot of therapists, or I interview entertainment industry folks. And so you're both. So it's great. Um, but before we totally dive in that very impressive bio, dive into it, can I ask you, how old were you when you knew that you had OCD?
That's a great question. I think other people knew way before I did. So, um, I I think I started manifesting a lot of the rituals that people know, like hand washing and
Okay.
repeating myself, repeating numbers. I had to walk in a certain way around my block all the time, and then I had to
Okay.
repeat songs, and that was all around 10 or 11 years old. And I think what triggered it in many ways was I was very close to one of my aunts, and she passed away very suddenly when I was 10. And
Mhm.
then my dad passed away a year later,
Oh dear.
and I felt like I'd killed them. All of a sudden I was sure that I killed them. That, like, why would the two people that I love the most just up and die that quickly?
Well, that
Um,
was definitely OCD.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And
I don't know about you. You're much younger than me, but I also had my first outbreak of it at age 10, and no one knew what it was. I mean, I finally, at age 50, had to research and self diagnose because I was diagnosed incorrectly. They thought I was bipolar, um, just any number of things. And it's like, had they never heard of OCD when I was 10? Maybe not. Um, I don't know. But okay, so that and so you're the people that were taking care of you, who I assume was your mom.
Yes, yes. My mom was very, very much involved, and she was, I mean, obviously my prime caretaker, my best friend, everything. And I think she was really wanting me to get help. I was seeing we saw a grief counselor that was sort of like given to us at the hospital where my father passed away, and I think she was the first person to sort of put a name to it.
Really?
Um,
Okay, that's
but
fast. To me, that's kind of wonderful.
yeah, it was she was fabulous. And I think that she and my mom had a really good understanding of what was going on, but I wouldn't hear it. I was like, nope, I don't, never mind. I won't tell you anything. And I just, I pretended that everything was better. She'd say, are you kissing this 5 times, and are you doing this? And I was like, no, no. Because I
I
felt
wonder
like
why you didn't want to share it. Were you embarrassed, or you just thought it was no one else's business, or
I think in my understanding, it was very sacred. Like these rituals were
yeah?
sacred, and if I talked about them, then I was being blasphemous, then I was doing something
Oh,
really
okay,
bad.
okay. Um, all right. Now I'll ask, when did you know that you were an artist?
That's a harder question, I think.
Maybe one feeds into the other. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think in many ways, like mental struggles and artistry are go hand in hand,
I
of
think so.
course. Um, but also I think they're both situations where you look back and you're like, oh, I guess I was an artist, or I guess I was really struggling. Um,
And you don't have to answer that. I just wondered, did it kind of follow the same pattern, or, I mean, the same timeline, or was it different?
no, it's definitely different. And I think I still suffer from imposter syndrome a lot. Like I'm still like I don't think she knows that I'm not an artist. Um, or I don't have the credentials. I my closest friends in
My
high
God,
school.
you don't have the credential. That's a lie.
Well, thank
Um,
you.
and that's so OCD. And that's
Well,
one thing
then I did a good job.
yeah, you did a good job. That's one thing I've heard a lot of my friends have, and I never suffered from that, possibly because I'm such an overachiever, you know, uh,
Mhm.
or maybe deep down I'm not being honest either. Um, I don't know. Um, and may I ask, do you have children?
Yes, I have 3 children.
You have three
And
children.
mhm, they are, oops, sorry, that's very loud.
That's okay.
They are fabulous, and I worry about them constantly, and they're still fabulous.
You worry about them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And that's also OCD because that doesn't help anything,
No, it
but we
doesn't
do
help
it.
them, sure.
Um, well, I am a mother of two. I am a grandmother of three, and now I am a great grandmother.
No way.
Never thought, because I raised this gorgeous granddaughter,
Oh
and
my goodness.
she is 30 now, and she just had a baby. And this is the most beautiful baby, of course, I'm prejudiced, that we've ever had in the family. And she's almost one. And I get to keep her a lot as much as I can. And
Right.
um, I mean, I would just love because I raised her mother, I would love to raise her, but I thought, no, it's my turn now. I because when I decided to raise her mother, my plan was to arrive in LA, substitute teach with a teaching degree, get my real estate license, and audition. But when I got Mariah, I thought, well, maybe I better go back and get a master's so I can teach in California. So, but I had a blast raising her. Right now, the two things I want to do is the arts and raise that great granddaughter. And the arts win; they win. But anyway,
Wait, do people know that you look like you're 20 years old? How can you be a great grandmother? That's
oh,
crazy.
I married when I was 12. That's a lie. Uh, but we do everything young down south. I think I married when I was 18. It's totally possible. It's totally
Oh,
possible.
yeah.
And then I escaped from the south and I really use that word thoughtfully um, when I was 25 and came to LA. Didn't stay long, got an opportunity. At that point, I I had discovered I was an artist because I had a store and I was doing my own commercials and I started writing jingles and I thought, oh my God, I can sing and I can write. And I think I did move to Dallas with the thought of opening a second store, but then I got involved with a rock band, became the chick singer. I was not even a rock person. And that's how I got to LA. And then I got offered to do a tour of upstate New York in the winter. And I took it. And we ended up it was gruesome. Again, being a chick singer, it's hard. And we ended up in Manhattan, and all of the musicians, most of our studio musicians I'd worked with, went back to LA. And I said, nope, I'm staying in NYC. I've never experienced it. So fortunately for me, I had a girlfriend that I went to high school with, staying with a friend in Brooklyn. So I started there and then got to the West Village, and I think I lived everywhere in New York, the Upper East Side, the Lower East Side. Ended up on the Upper East Side, and then I briefly went to Paris. Spent 10 years in San Francisco. Went back down south to check on my elderly relatives and dragging my children all along, and then came back to LA, which is where I've always wanted to be. But thank you. That's a compliment. I love your website. And I was looking what I think is the first page. It has a picture of you walking along a street. And I love what it says from the New York Times book review that Sher is a funny, witty writer and her prose feels emotionally true. Wow, the New York Times. Um,
Thank you.
and I'm going to go through what I told everyone about in the bio. But first of all, I just like what is the Chuckle Patch Comedy Show, and do you still do that?
Yes, I was actually just working on it.
Okay,
I live in a really sweet hippy dippy town now in New Jersey.
you
That's
do. What town?
it's called Maplewood.
Okay, I don't
It's
know New Jersey, but I'm sure a lot of people would know where that is.
it's a really good town if you work in the city. You just take a
Mhm.
straight shot out, and it's a half hour on the train, and it's like I don't know. There's our community pool, and there's our little farmers market, and it's
Oh,
just
you
a
have a
really
farmer's market. Oh, wow, I love those.
it's very fun. And so a friend of mine and I we host a comedy show every few months and
Huh?
invite local comics to come. And we haven't done one in a while because of the pandemic,
Right,
so
right.
it'll be really fun to put one up in October.
Gosh. Okay. And where do you do it? Do you do it in New Jersey or NYC?
We do it out here. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
lot easier to do it out like in one of our local bars.
I'm surprised you don't even do it virtually. Everything is
We
everything.
did we did two of them virtually. One of them was fun. The other one I got so confused with. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm technologically
I can
like
imagine.
ridiculous. I really need just my own tutorial on how to. I turn on and off lights very well, and I can cook noodles, and that's about it.
So you have a space where you do these, right?
Yes, we have two friends who one runs a really great restaurant. Both of them own really great restaurants, so we are sort of going between the two.
Oh, that's great. That is
Yeah,
so great, and it's close to home.
yeah.
Um, okay, next, comedy and Prozac. Hilarious and dark comedy that will make you appreciate your serotonin. Uh, and I still take medication for OCD, so
Oh,
serotonin is very up my alley. Um,
me too.
and as is Prozac. Uh, so what is that like? Comedy and Prozac. Is that something that's a regular event or?
Somebody invited me to do that.
Oh,
It's a couple of towns away. Yeah, so
okay.
I didn't come up with that idea.
Okay. But did you come up with material for it? Or
Yes,
okay.
yes,
And you are obviously an improv artist because you performed with Second City.
yeah. So yeah, my main performing uh focus has been improv and comedy. Um, and I got to tour all over the country, a little bit out of the country too. It was fabulous. Um,
Second City.
yeah.
Oh, that's great. You know, I've I've done the first and second level of it here in LA, and I wish I could remember the name of my instructor. I loved her. She had a funny name. She was a tiny blonde, short-haired woman, and oh, she was just divine. And I want to do the third level. Um, they haven't asked me to be a part of their troupe, but
Oh, so
um,
fun. Please go
yeah, it was
back.
so fun. And you know, the people there was this one guy that uh he was just he looked like excuse me, he looked like such a nerd. And I just thought, wow, but he was phenomenal. I I and I wasn't phenomenal, but I did okay. Um, and I knew I needed improv. I took it because I knew I needed it for commercial work. And I said, so at the end of everything, she wanted us to make a comment or ask a question of anyone or her or whatever. And I said, well, I'd like to know when your HBO special happens because I want to watch. And he
Oh,
kind of chuckled, but God, it was great. Just who'd have thunk it? You know, I mean,
yeah.
some people were, and I'll bet you're one of them, obviously. Um,
Oh, well, I mean, I think it's such a great way to live. I was talking about this with someone last night actually, because there's a friend of mine runs improv classes for kids. And
that's great.
yeah, and one of the best experiences I mean, we went to places like we went to Oklahoma City right after the bombing, and we did the
Oh my
first show
God.
after 9/11, and with first responders. And there's people that like you're not just trying to make them laugh, you're trying to figure out how do we all pick up the pieces and say yes to what's going on and keep on going. So it's very much
Challenging. Wow.
philosophy in life now is like we say yes and
Yes.
we try to add on. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely life changing. And in terms of OCD, I would say it was, I think I talk about this in my memoir a lot. It was on stage was like the only place where I couldn't do my rituals. I couldn't,
Exactly. Exactly.
I just couldn't.
The freedom. It's
It was
definitely
really
freedom.
fabulous.
Um, yeah. Um, let's see. I think you've written about what, 9 books now? Or you're on your ninth book?
Thank you. I think it's more like six. I have to count, but I think it's. I would love to say nine, but I think it's six.
Oh, well, maybe I counted wrong. But I did think the second Sanctuary was going to be the ninth one. But one was Memoir of a Girl Who Couldn't Stop Praying. Can I hear a little about that?
Yeah, that's the first. Well, no, I guess it was my second book, but that's really the one that took everything out of me. That was my memoir, and I really spoke about um finding my way through OCD, but also OCD helping me in many ways when I
Good.
lost my dad and my mom. And yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely been my anchor in so many ways.
right. I'm not saying you're talking about compulsions, but compulsions, they work for a minute or two. They
Mhm.
really do.
Mhm.
Um, I had, and I thought maybe you were getting into this. I had what is called, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, scrupulosity.
Yeah.
When,
Mhm.
yeah, and that I tended to go from obsession to obsession to obsession and never did the hand washing. But being from the Bible Belt and First Baptist Church, and I convinced myself that I was not a Christian, that I'd not given my heart to Jesus, and I thought I was going to hell. And I just obsessed and obsessed and obsessed about that. And it became really dangerous. I mean, my poor husband, he brought the preacher over who didn't know what the hell was going on. He said, I
Oh,
can assure you, you're going to.
oh,
And I can
yeah.
remember driving in a car with my ex-husband and husband then, and who was far from perfect. But I said, I am not saved and I can't stand it. It's killing me because emotional pain is as bad as physical. I
Yeah.
opened the car door. I was jumping out, and he was so strong. He grabbed me and pulled me back in. And
Oh.
um, I guess you could say he saved my life. But since I saved his life in Vietnam, I don't like to mention that part because I call in those cards often, sometimes with kids. Um, so basically, you kind of had scrupulosity, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean it started around the same time as the other rituals, but my when my dad passed away, I grew up Jewish, and
Right.
I very much identify with being Jewish. Um, there aren't as many. Well, I guess it depends on how you observe it, but we had like maybe one prayer that we said regularly in my house, and that was really just like before you go to sleep. But I took it upon myself. Then I had to say another prayer and then another prayer and another prayer. And by the time I went to high school, I was like praying two hours a day, and I was hiding so that I could pray more. And I had to start over if anybody
How did
interrupted.
mom react to this? She must have noticed, or
Yeah, well, I mean, she saved my life many times. I know when you said you pulled up the car door, like I remember her firmly taking like putting her hand on my knee and being like, "You can stop this. You're okay." She said it over and over again. And she, I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. She really, and you know, she finally forced me to look at what I was doing. I think it was my first year in college. I had a single room, which I don't know I would ever recommend that for anyone.
that's kind of unusual, isn't it?
It
So,
is unusual. It was like an old building that had a lot of singles, and I just locked the door and stayed inside and prayed for
you could do your
hours.
prayers, yes.
And she came for, I missed classes, I missed social gatherings. I
Oh,
just kept missing.
goodness, you missed classes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when she
Serious.
came for the first parents' weekend, um, she knew she was like, I mean, she'd been begging me for so long to do some to take medicine or to try anything.
Were you
And
seeing a therapist even?
oh yeah, but I would downplay it because I thought it was blasphemous, and I thought if I would be struck down, or worse, people I loved would be struck down. She'd say, "You can stop praying. You're fine," and in my head I was like, "Yeah, but then you'll die if I don't pray more."
Was this anywhere else in your family that you know of?
Great question. I not that I know of.
My mother suffered from mental illness. I'm not sure because once my first bout of it was insomnia. I was obsessing over not being able to sleep. Scared my mother to death. I mean, she almost had an overreaction. She just filled me with vitamins, laxatives, everything she could find. Um, Took me to the doctor. The local doctor knew nothing, what was going on. Um, but I did tend to go from one to the other. Um, I, oh my gosh, we're already running out of time. We have 10 more minutes. I need to upgrade this. So this is my fault. So let me scoot on here. I wanted, and next time this will be longer. You were on the Oprah reading list, not to mention you performed for the New York Times, the New Yorker. I mentioned Second City, Nickelodeon. That that's interesting. What did you do with Nickelodeon?
Well, that's more of what I do now is I write for kids. Um,
Right. Okay. Okay.
I did actually. I was a voice on a cartoon for Nickelodeon as well.
You are so perfect for voiceover. Oh my God. I would think you could completely just do voiceover. I'm,
Thank you. I would love to. If you
well,
know anyone, just tell them to send them my way.
I mean, I think all you'd have to do is to reach out to agents and just let them hear your voice. Just get a reel because you're something. And then you did an essay for Modern Love, which I love Modern Love, but what does that mean exactly?
Well, this was really a fabulous experience. I I came to New York in 2004. So I was in Chicago performing. I came to New York in 2004, and and my mom passed away that same week,
Oh
and
gosh.
I was not expecting it, and
Oh, so
I
you
was
lost your mom too.
yeah.
Me too. My parents died when I was very young. Yeah.
It's just there's nothing like it. It's
No,
devastating.
no, you're right.
Um, and I was just sent into a whirlwind. But the I guess the silver lining is that it started me on writing because I thought I cannot go
What
audition
a
right
healthy
now.
response. What a healthy response.
Oh,
Are you,
don't worry. I did plenty of unhealthy things too.
well, of course, me too. Are you an only child?
No, I'm the youngest of three.
You're the youngest of three. Okay, I'm an only child. One thing I wanted to also ask you about, you're going to have to come back, please, in your busy schedule, please. Um, your audio script at Rebel Girls. What is Rebel Girls?
Rebel Girls is where I work now. Um, it started as a book called Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls.
Love the name. I love the
Yeah,
name.
it's fabulous. And now it's a whole company where we have a podcast and an app and
Oh, you
clothes.
have a podcast. That's cool. Oh,
Yeah, it's very fun.
yeah. And then finally, Sanctuary.
Yes.
I love the cover of the book. Um, and this is the first time you've written with a partner, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's worked out because you're doing a series now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you give me a log line of Sanctuary?
Sure. Sanctuary is about a young, undocumented girl from Colombia. Well, I should say, sorry, this is not a good log line. It takes place in
That's
the
a
future.
log line. I was kind of kidding. Okay.
Takes place slightly in the future in an America where everybody undocumented is being rounded up and taken away.
It sounds
And
very timely, very
yeah,
relevant. Now, do you see any of your books being made into films or episodics or
yeah. So Sanctuary and its three the books that go with it are currently hopefully going to be made into a film soon.
it sounds just like perfectly, timely for where we are now. And I'm just going to end this by I was looking at your wonderful website and I love your little telegram. Darling, I'm home waiting to hear from you. I just love that. Um, so basically, that's the way you'd like people to reach you is via the website. And also, I will also include, with your permission, your website, link. It's
Sure.
because you don't want what am I trying to say? An email. This is not that kind of thing.
No.
So, okay. I could talk to you for a long, long time. And I hope you will come back.
Oh, it was a pleasure. I will, yes, let's figure out when we can do it again.
Yes, we will do that. We will do that. And thank you again, Abby.
Thank you.
It was so
Take
much
care.
fun.
And I can't believe you're a great grandma. That has me reeling.
Okay, next time you get to see a picture of the girl. Her name is
Okay.
Oakley.
Oh, please.
Yes.
Love it.
Okay. All right. Take care, sweetie.
You too. All right.
Soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.